This 90 started a lot better now we've got the air purged out of it. Really starts well, but you can hear it's still missing. And it smokes really bad when it starts up. It's getting warm now, but it's still smoking a bit. I don't know if you can see it. Anyway, yesterday I took off the valve cover and had a look and see if the valves had clearance. They all had clearance, and I was looking also to see if the valves had movement. So I started the vehicle up without the cover on, and everything was working fine. So what I'm going to do next, I'm going to sort of rig up the GoPro. We're going to take it for a thrash, a test drive, and see if we can well, knock any cobwebs out of it really. I don't know. But I've got a feeling that we've got to do some compression tests, and I'm also going to pop the injector out of number 3 and put it on the pop tester and see if that one's actually firing. A lot of work. So I've just been for a test drive, and the first video I took, well, it wasn't very good because the lens was all smeary. But it's warmed up now, and I didn't have any wipers on, so it's raining. I came back and got a pair of wipers, which I'm quite surprised work. This has got manual steering on it, it hasn't got power steering. Right, let's go. The windows are comfortably into your rattle. That's it. I hope you can see that it's really dark in here, and it's a miserable day. It's between second and third position. It's marginally better, but not all that much better. Oh, now I'm going to put them wipers on. Look at it. Look at it, summer. Oh, look at hey, look at that. What's the brakes like? Just smashed a bit of diesel doing the car. Oh, look at this going petrol now, look. Oh, it's washing the mirror. I don't think that's what's done. That needs a bit of a looking at. So after several runs up the hill and the water is up to pressure, I got a few leaks from the rocker box, but I'm not bothered about that because I disturbed the gasket. Is it going to be any better? Let's have a look. Oh, one works. Not really. testing on a cylinder, isn't it? I'm going to have to see if I've got a glow plug, a tester to go into that glow plug, you know, for a compression test. Yeah, looks like it's in the shop. One thing I did notice, the smoke's cleared up. There's a touch of blue in it. I only hope it's an injector. Anyway, it's cleared up the smoke. That's good. So I've had the rocker box off this engine and seen if the valves are moving up and down, which they are, which is good. That's why there's oil everywhere, because I didn't tighten it down properly. What I'm going to do next is have a look at these injectors. Now there's some tiny but telltale signs when you're looking at engines who's been fiddling around with them. Now look very carefully at the nuts on here when I'm pointing in the right direction. See those? See those? See those? Those have got spring washers on. Those have got a shouldered nut on. Those have got no washers on at all. Those at the back, spring washers. Now, it leads me to think that there's something more than an injector problem. But I'm going to pull them out anyway, and I'm going to put them on the tester and see what we can find. Quite simple job really. Take off the spill rail, don't lose the washers, and take off the injector pipes, and then just simply undo those bolts, those nuts, and extract them. I've got a feeling they're going to come out quite well. I could be wrong though. Right, let's see how that goes. So I put caps on the injectors just to protect them. But there's something mysterious here. This injector is number 3, this one's number 1. I put a little scratch mark on here. Now this one was working fine, but I put a little scratch on so I can tell the two before I put it on the tester. But I am going to swap them over, if you see what I mean. The tips look good, nothing untowards there, but when I undid the screws, for the nuts for this, they were almost finger tight. So there is a problem with this number 3, I'm sure of it. So let's go and have a look at the tester. My old injector tester isn't the best. In fact, it came from India, and I found out the gauge doesn't work, but the actual can put diesel through just to see what's happening to the injector. So I've just been playing around with it just to make sure it's set up right. Now I am using adjustables on here because there's so many different types of fitting. So what we're going to do first of all, we're going to put this is number 1 injector. See, I put a little mark on there. I've bled this through and it's all nice and clean, so that's good. And we're going to have a look at the spray pattern, or what's happening, and compare the two, because number 1 cylinder was firing great. Yeah, it's a pity. I don't know why the gauge doesn't work. It should pump up. A job, a winter job. I think it's the first time I've used this for about 8 years. So let's put some diesel through. See, it's not dribbling, it's the pipe that's coming off. Now, I haven't got an extractor on this, so that's why I don't like using it. It's supposed to have a fume extractor. Let's tighten that up. It's not bad. So that's number 1. Because you almost have to have something to compare it to. Let's try number 3. This was Mr. Troublesome. Bit dribbly on low pressure, but there is a distinctive difference in the pattern. So I'm going to swap them over and see what difference it makes. So with everything back in place, a number 1 injector now is over on number 3 and number 3 is on number 1. Theoretically, if there's nothing wrong with the engine, then this cylinder will start misfiring. If it's still misfiring on there, we've got some sort of internal problem. So let's see if we can fire this up. It'll take a few cranks. Maybe not that many. So I think that conclusively proves that this injector is good, so all the injectors are good. See how it stalls the engine? That one's missing. Right, next thing is a compression test, but I'm going inside because it's pouring down. It's really hot. It's like, well, it's not really hot. It's about 20 degrees and 99% humidity, so it's really sticky. Yeah, so what I'm going to do next is I'm going to disconnect these glow plugs here and see if I can get an adapter to go into there. I'm not sure if I've got one. So having got the glow plugs out, one of them snapped off, naturally. That was the back one. I've got my tester in, and I've actually wrote on the bonnet which is going to be 1, 2, 3 and 4. It doesn't matter because the bonnet's bloody scrap anyway. Now, the most important thing when you're doing a diesel, disconnect the solenoid off your injector pump, or disconnect the disable the injection system, so we're not injecting diesel in whilst we're on doing a compression test, because otherwise it'll fire up. So let's have a look at the gauge and see what number 1 brings. Let's have a look at the old scoreboard. Ooh. 395. Right, I think that's good. So instead of wasting a lot of time, I'll get to number 2 and then we'll have a look at number 3. So the second cylinder was exactly 395 again. Now we're going to test number 3. And, oh, it's exciting, isn't it? It's like winning the lottery now. This is strange. Look at that, 395. Wow. So I could be wrong. It might be injectors. Wait a minute, there's something odd here. Anyway, let's test the last one. I've just tested the last cylinder and it's 380. A little bit low, but within the margin. So, what on earth is going on here? Now, it's obviously not idling properly. I wonder if it's the pump. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm not going to mess about with it much more, but I'm fairly satisfied the compression's kind of even. Number 3 was throwing me. I'm going to take the valve cover off and I'm going to turn the engine over and just check the clearances are not correct. I checked them the other day and made sure they weren't tight, but there again, compression test has said that it's got good compression. Who am I to argue? Man. Right, let me think of something else.